is like disgusting.
OG liquor reference, no big deal.
Literally OG, like that's like Four Loko.
And it's like before.
It's like before.
It was like
Four
Mad
Loko.
Dog 2020 and Stat. Oh, exactly. Okay, what's the first question? Hi, hello, and welcome to According to Weeze, the podcast, where we're going to have candid conversation with the hopes of finding a way forward in community. See, we exist and experience life at the intersection of our complex identities and our socio-cultural and political systems. And let's be real, the only way to dismantle it all is to start by dissecting it. So get cozy, get comfy, and let's dive in. All right, hey y'all, what's up? This is our season wrap-up. Fair warning. A lot has been happening in the Weezeverse. See what I did there? Fuck you, Zuckerberg. Everybody knows I hate him. I got kicked off Facebook and we have a contentious relationship, he and I. Anyways, I mean, I don't hate him because I don't know him as a human, but like all the things he stands for, his general lack of morality, the way that he runs a business, the way that he totally weaponizes an entire platform against marginalized people. Like I hate all those things. Anyways, so in true Weeze fashion, something that people don't know about me is that when I get really tired, one, I talk really, really quickly because I'm like, say all the things in my brain. And two, I get really goofy and silly. So you're welcome. This is like raw and uncut. What we are doing for this wrap up, y'all may have remembered the episode where my very near and dear homegirl, Madison, came and talked to us about racist ass AI. So look at that. The Zuck reference was apropos. And I decided, for the wrap up, normally I have somebody close to me come on and ask me questions about whatever they want and kind of interview me. And I do that for a couple reasons. One is because I want to be as transparent as possible. Y'all see me a lot on the internet and a lot of people are always like, oh, wow, Weeze, like you do so much and you do this and you do that. Cool. Thanks so much. And I'm human, right? And it's not always easy and it can be messy and it can be hard. And I also didn't just come out the womb. I came out the womb real radical, but I did not come out the womb healed or decolonized in any of the ways. So all of that being said, that is why we are here. So now I'm going to go to being the guest and I'm going to let Madison take over. Take it away, Madison.
Oh my gosh, I'm full in the Weeze universe. I just want to say Black lives over the metaverse. You know what I'm saying? That's the narrative coming into 2022. Y'all check my IG story because I did post recently about an episode from Black Mirror in 2011 that literally Mark Zuckerberg reenacted in real life like days ago. So.
Yeah, I'm telling you, The Simpsons and Black Mirror are...
The Simpsons, Black Mirror, and Prince have predicted everything.
And also, old girl that wrote Handmaid's Tale. Honestly, fuck you. Like, you knew what was coming, and you could have warned us more effectively.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to get into this.
Okay.
The interviewer becomes the interviewee.
Bum,
but
bum,
before we
bum.
start, Before we start, I just gonna take the opportunity because you have to give flowers to Weeze. Like Weeze is the one.
Aww.
I always tell people that are super close to me that are the most amazing people in the world that they are truly like one of one. And Weeze is one of those people. It was an honor to be on her podcast this season talking about technology and racism and AI and creating agency for our communities and an understanding for how they can utilize tech in their life in a better way. So thank you so much for having me. And I'm super excited to interview you and hear what you have to say to the world.
Yeah, hopefully I got something worth listening to.
Also, I wish you guys could see the background of Weeze's like office. There's all these amazing Black women on the...
Yeah, they'll see it. I just finished putting them all up. I have some more pieces coming in the mail, and then I'm going to post it on the internet because this is actually my favorite artist. She is a Black Haitian woman that I met in New York on the streets of New York selling her art, and I am obsessed with her work and her spirit, and she only draws literally inspirations from her mind, and they're just bold and amazing. And her name is Tatiana Pobla. Everybody that has ever heard me talk about art knows she is my absolute favorite artist. So I've made it a point that everybody has to look at her anytime they look at me.
Oh,
yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
I'm just going to try to get my face up there in one of those, but working on it. Okay, first question. She did laugh like she won't go do that. Like, I ain't a black kid.
The way you said it, though, like, there's no real people back here, but it's just going to be a picture. Like, fuck Lola, fuck Benny. It's just going to be a picture of Madison in the middle, or my mama.
I'm just going with the vibe. It's
Listen,
beautiful black women with natural hair. I mean,
you're right.
This is actually me in the world.
You're right. Facts. Just go ahead and give me a picture. There is going to be a friend wall in the house soon, so you'll make it on that one for sure.
I did. Okay, I just have to plug curly haired black women.
Yes.
I saw this TikTok the other day that said, the guy was talking, he said, "Why do y'all look like that?" He was like, "Just ruin my life. Y'all ruined my life, but I'm still going to choose you. I'm still going to choose you." I said, this man knows what's up.
Yes, random TikToker.
Okay, let's get into something
Can we talk just real quick about the fact that I just realized that your name on here, you changed it to Mad Dog?
I did.
I love it.
Is that okay?
It's amazing.
I have a lot of nicknames.
Noticed. I know. I love it. I love it. And I just want y'all to know that dog is spelled DAWG as it should be. Okay.
Yeah. And back in the day when I was Mad Dog, I was actually Mad Dog 2020.
What are we talking about? What do
I
you
only
want to
drink
know?
whiskey now.
Okay.
So, okay, moving on. So we're just going to talk. That's what we're going to do, because the best conversations and interviews flow from the spirit.
Facts.
So that's what we're going to do today in this episode. I'm so happy to be in the interviewer seat. My first question for you is, we about to get into it.
Oh, are we?
We're ending. I said we're ending as if I've been on this podcast for every single
You have
episode.
been. It's in spirit.
Okay. So according to Weeze is ending this season. And
for clarity, this season is ending. The show is not ending with this season.
The show is not ending.
I already had people go, oh, I heard it. It
was for dramatic effect. Come on. Okay, no. So only this season is ending.
Yes.
According to Weeze, is not ending.
Correct.
In the world.
Correct.
It's going to very much be here for the next season, which is going to be season 4, correct?
It is, but I'm also just going to change to like a numbered system, because keeping track of seasons is hard. I honestly didn't think I'd get this far.
We don't really care about all that.
I just want to, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm like, here you go. Season, what's the next episode? What number are we at? So it'll be like, let's see, divide the 2, carry the 3. It'll be like episode 42 that we'll come back with or something.
It'll be episode
shmeen.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
I'm following. I'm tracking. We're going to start with a heavy hitter.
Okay.
How do you actually model what you teach?
Ooh, she came out that gate swinging. So one of the things I think I would like, my reframe as an answer to that is, I teach what I have already gone through and learned as a practice of liberation.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I model it is literally by showing up every day and being who I am and teaching other people how to reach these levels of unsettling or decolonization, depending on their identities, and liberation. Now, I want to be really clear. There's other ways to do this shit. There's other ways to live your life. There's other methodologies. Right. And so the people that want to learn my flavor, my spice, my way of showing up in the world, unapologetically, boundaried down to the socks. You know what I mean? Like, honesty in joy and peace and humanity and all those other things. Cool. Come over to Death Row. You know what I'm saying? Come over to Death Row Records. People are going to be like, what are all these hip hop references? Welcome to Weeze After Hours.
Right. And that's your problem. That's not my problem.
Google it. No, but you know, I literally wake up every day and I truly embody the elements that I'm preaching on the internet. Like, so when I get on the internet or when I get on Instagram, when I on this podcast, in my courses, I'm not just like, I don't have these ideologies. I'm like, boundaries would be a great idea. Liberation would be a great idea. You know, humanity, protecting your peace, equity, disruption, protest, like, they're not just ideas to me, right? They're not ideologies. I've done a lot of my own work around, one, learning the language and the art form of activism and protest and disruption, and decolonization and healing work to shed all of the socialization and all of the trauma and all of the other things. And now I've come to a place where I'm like, yo, I'm like truly happy. I am truly at peace. I am truly liberated, because the rest of the world is still on some fuck shit. I still go out into the world and experience all of the things that I experience in my marginalized identities and my racial ambiguity and all of that. But it doesn't control me. It doesn't run me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I can be upset about a thing. I can be reactive, but like, it doesn't run me. Like, I'm not I can see it. I know it. I know how to navigate the system. But like, I still feel like I live in a space of liberation. And so honestly, it's like, it's the other way around. Like, I wake up every day and I'm like, how do I teach people how to do my brand of life?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that because, I've been honored through my relationship with you and many other spaces that I move in and work in to have really great conversations and teachings and learnings from folks that do this work in many levels and capacities. And there are people that come to learn from folks like you that are like, I don't understand how to actually not be so affected by what happens to me. And where do you start that conversation at, right?
Yeah. So, I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough is trauma and trauma healing, or as Sean Ginwright at SF State, who actually, Levon Briggs, who was on this season and the first season of this podcast, put me on to Sean in this podcast. And so I always got to give the shout outs, but he reframed it because, Black man is like, we need to center healing. So he says healing centered. And so I think the reality is we talk about, the things that have traumatized us or the healing that we need from like our parents or relationships or like all of these other things, but we don't talk about ancestral trauma. We don't talk about healing the ancestral wounds. Like, there is empirical scientific evidence that shows us that the stress and trauma that a body experiences can actually change the DNA in your body. And so if you do not heal that, and I should specify also, it gets more altered. I don't want to say worse, but it gets more altered the more consistent that trauma is. And then you are literally passing that down to the next generation. And so we don't talk about how do we heal that, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, how do you heal from a system that is predicated on maintaining your internal, emotional, psychological, spiritual turmoil for its own success? Because a person who is in a state of chaos or internal turmoil cannot actually be disruptive, cannot actually organize, cannot see outside of themselves for long enough to try to like battle Goliath, right? David could only take on Goliath because David was like, yo, we good over here. Let me get these little rocks.
I'm solid. Go with the Bible story.
Okay. But imagine if David was so emotionally, psychologically, spiritually distraught and in turmoil.
Wow.
He wouldn't have had the clarity of mind, body, and spirit to, one, be able to think through, how do I beat such a pervasive system, something that's so much bigger than me? And two, he did it by himself, but how do we do this as a collective? Right? So honestly, the conversation to me always starts with healing. And it does, again, not on the like very individual person to person level, because every single human person on this planet has experienced some sort of trauma. I don't care what you think. If you think that you have not, it's probably because you've entered into some sort of dissociative state for your own safety. I suggest you see a therapist. Every single person has, right? Even the way that you've been raised impacts you as an adult.
Right.
So really, I think that's where the conversation starts, specifically for melanated folks, specifically for Black folks, right? Like, where do we start that conversation? Like, we need to start this conversation with, how has an entire system that has been meant to rob us of our very humanity continued to profit and win off of maintaining our internal turmoil? And how do we heal from that? How has that caused trauma, right? You even think about it, like the example I always give that's like a quote unquote easy example. It's hard, right? Trigger warning. As a woman, we walked down the street, and I actually had an ex gaslight the fuck out of me on this. He was like, something's wrong with you that you even think like that. And I was like, something's wrong with you that you have a daughter and you don't think this is a problem. But I was explaining to him that when I walk through the streets by myself for whatever reason, if I realize I don't have my mace on me, I put my keys between my fingers. My daddy taught me that very young. Right? I'm not asking for trouble, right? I'm not saying that every single man that walks by me is inherently a predator, but what we know is that we live in a society that preys on women. right? Well, it preys on also non-binary and trans folks, but I'm a cis-het woman, so I'm speaking from my lens and my perspective. But it preys on people like me. And so if it preys on people like me, stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. But there's a difference between knowing that and staying ready so you ain't got to get ready, and then actually embodying the fear, actually embodying, right, like the anxiety as you're walking down the street with the keys in your finger, between your fingers, right? So we need to talk about how do we get people to a place of healedness and of acceptance so that they can release, right? So it's like, how do I accept the things that have happened to me and my ancestors and the reality of the society so that I can release all of these things so I don't embody it, so that I can navigate a world that is meant to destroy me without actually allowing it to. Because I actually think that's the number one first way that you're like, that's a sign of liberation right there. You want to destroy me, but I have claimed my physical being, my spiritual being, my mental being. Like, I have sovereignty over this. Like, you don't get to make me feel any kind of way. I'm not going to be naive. I know shit's crazy out here. I know things are going to happen to me based on my social identities, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But I'm not just inherently going to live in this state of internal turmoil. That was a very long answer, but I feel like I had to fully unpack it. That was a really long answer,
but I just sat in silence and held the space for you because I think it's really important that you're bringing this to light in the way that you are, right? Because I think a lot about the work that we all do as Black people to heal from ancestral trauma, to heal from experiential trauma, to heal from environmental trauma, to heal from white people trauma.
White people.
Whites. And it wrecks my brain all the time to just think about when do we step into what is just we come out Black and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I'm all the way Black today. I'm all the way Black every day. Yeah. I don't have to do the work of combating anti-Blackness,
right?
Because I don't even subscribe to that. What I just subscribe to is being Black, and that's it.
And that's the thing, because we can pretend we live in this fucking world where like we're gonna keep working really hard, and then like anti-Blackness and transphobia and Islamophobia and racism and all xenophobia and all of this other shit's just gonna like go away. No, our ancestors have been fighting for literally hundreds of years to make it quote unquote go away. And go back to the Weeze and Air, which is a behind the scenes segment for the reference, but we're picking up the baton, right? From those that came before us. So like, it's the reality is we're not going to eradicate this in our lifetime. And so how do you find a way to find a balance of I'm going to exist unapologetically in my existence, but I'm not going to be naive to the world that I live in. I'm not going to be naive to the systems of oppression that I live in and the ways in which my various social identities might or might not benefit and or oppress me. Right? So how do I show up in the world? So like you said, you want like, hi, my name is Mad Dog and I am unapologetically Black today. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're like, an anti-Blackness isn't real. No, anti-Blackness is still real as shit. But now when you see it, you can be like, oh my God, that's so cute for you that you're anti-Black. Good to know. Thanks for letting me know. Don't ever call me again. Get away from me. Also, I'm unbothered. Now I might be emotionally, and I think this is an important distinction. I might be emotionally reactive, right? Like I might be upset about 1,000%. It. I might be frustrated by it. But there's a difference between being emotionally reactive and like re-traumatized or triggered. And a lot of people like to throw around like, I'm so triggered. Fucking stop. You're emotionally reactive. You have emotions. Every reaction is not a trigger. And every reaction is not actually resurfacing trauma. Trauma is an actual state of existence where your body cannot tell the difference between what is a real and imminent threat and what is a past historical lived experience. And stop throwing around this fucking language.
Well, what is the trauma that's soliciting the trigger? Most people aren't going to have an answer.
No, unless they've done their trauma work and they're not traumatized by it anymore. They could be like, yo, that used to be a trigger for me. That used to trigger the fuck out of me.
Right. So if you walking around talking about triggers, you have a lot of
you don't know what you're talking about.
And it's kind of what you say sometimes about red flags, right?
Yes.
You have this narrative out in the world that you've been putting out on your Instagram from time to time that's like, look, yes, there's red flags. Yes, there's like bad things. but why does everything always have to be from this context?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. What if we flip the context?
Like, yes. What about absence of green?
Right.
Like,
Listen,
everyone's like, that's red.
Right. But we've had this conversation like, you know what? People are going to have fucking red flags. But are they doing their work to go from red to yellow to green? And also, is the green flag, are there like 1,000 green flags and 2 red flags? Do you throw the whole human away because it's 2 red flags? Now.
This is hitting my heart too
I know,
close,
sorry. Okay, sorry. Should we just shift? Should we pivot? I'm sorry.
Should we just shift? Okay, I have a good question for you that someone asked me recently.
Madison said you're talking about a real example that we already discussed.
Like
Could you stop?
Talking about my actual life.
I'm sorry.
It's too much.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right. We did just talk about this. Okay, left turn out of respect for my boo. Okay, next question.
Yeah, Weeze helps me with everything in my life. Let's just
right,
more on that
reciprocal relationship. Okay,
love it. Okay, my next question for you is: what would your op say about you?
I don't fucking care.
Love it.
You know what? Actually, this is an important point, and I'm actually going to do I don't know what the kids are calling it, a reel, a TikTok, a something, where it's like my face, and it's like, guess what? I
think it's actually both.
Okay, cool, great. I'm about to be 36, so I'm ancient.
36?
Yes, bitch.
Girl, you look about 22.
Thank you. No.
She can still drop and give y'all 50 just in case you didn't know.
Just in case you were confused.
Sorry, I just had to say that really quick.
No, it is true though. At training this morning, there's like the young bucks that train with us. As an aside, they're all like in their 20s. Or the oldest one other than that is 31. And then there's me. And we're all training, and we went like a full 12 rounds on top of like, shadow boxing and jump roping and all these other things. And all of them looked like they were going to throw up. And by the end of it, I was the only one. I was like gassed, but I'm like, ooh, that was good work. And coach went off. He was like, oh, y'all be talking about she owed and shit, but she's the only one. And one of them was like, I need to go pray. And he was like, yes, do that. So anyways,
please do.
I say that because don't get it twisted. No, so here's the thing, right? Look, people are not going to like me. And not because of my social identities, not because I did or didn't do something to them, not because for no other reason than not everyone is going to like you. I'm not going to be everybody's flavor of ice cream, and that's fucking fine. I don't really care. I don't need the whole world to like me. I only need the people that I fuck with to fuck with me. 1, 2, my ops, quite frankly, they are choosing misery. And if you choose misery, totally fine. That's your choice, sovereignty, yada, yada. Do it somewhere else. I don't care. I'm not concerned. The moment I concern myself with other people's misery is the moment that I choose misery, and I refuse to choose misery. Also, asterisk, because a lot of people like to take what I say out of context and then make it mean something else. I am not talking about a state of misery, ergo depression or anxiety or any other mental health disorder. That is not a fucking choice. So let's play the game where we actually listen to what Weeze has said and not the interpretation of what we want her to have said, so that we can project all of the other things onto her. Let's not do that, because it happened on the internet last week and I had to bang on somebody. So yeah, I don't care.
Bang, bang, gang, gang.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that answer. I love that answer so much. And I think it's
hope
just
people had to slow that down. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, they're going to have to slow it down. But
I don't really care.
It's a great question for a point of self-reflection and just an understanding of what your position is in the world and how you see the way in which you stand on your own 2 feet. And so I love the perspective that you have.
Yo, my favorite, before your next question, people will be like, I don't like you. Unfollow me. You're on my page following me.
Say it like that. I don't like you.
Because that's how I read it. I'd be like, I don't like you. I'm like, all of y'all can unfollow me. Nobody's requiring you to be here. So again, that's why it's a choice to be miserable. Anyway.
Okay, I just want to say this. I just got to read this to you because I saw this today.
Okay.
And I want to get like your immediate reaction to it.
Oh God, go.
A good friend of mine that is in the startup space, his name is Harold. He's an awesome dude.
What up, Harold?
What up, Harold? He posted on Twitter. He posted this on Twitter a while ago, but he reposted on his IG story today. He said, someone told me something the other day that I cannot get out of my head. She said, some people have never seen excellence before. So when they do, they are confused by it and they try to break it down into something that they can understand. Mediocrity is also a lens, y'all.
So I have a post that I wrote like 2 years ago and people were very upset about it. And it said, sometimes your light is going to be too bright for people who aren't ready to put on sunglasses. And then it went on to say, sometimes your light is going to be so bright that the demons and the dark that exists inside of people that they are not ready to root out and look at are going to be disrupted and bothered. And it's going to cause an emotional or physical, visceral reaction for them.
Are you going to start, you about to have me start preaching on the podcast?
Shine anyways. Shine anyways. Other people's inability to stand in the presence of excellence and rejoice at it and uphold it and give it space and then celebrate it and then say, you know what? If I'm not there, how do I get there? It's not my fucking problem. Mediocrity is 100% a lens. And a lot of times, other people want to view you as negative or bad or too much or to this or to that and ascribe negative characteristics to your greatness or your excellence and your shine because it rubs up against all of the darkness inside of them. And now we all have darkness and light. We are all made of both. But we need balance.
It rubs up against what makes them uncomfortable, right? And a lot of people don't like
is
to be
a mirror to them in all of the ways in which they have, in their own understanding of failure or mediocrity, haven't failed or been mediocre. And so seeing somebody else shine bright or be excellent and be magical and live authentically and in their own sovereignty is really fucking bothersome to somebody who hasn't either figured out how to do it or feels like they failed at it.
1,000%.
Again, not my problem.
I'm going to say
sign up for my course. I'll help you get through it.
I'm going to say 1,000%, 1,000 times. Wow.
But this is why, what? Your whole face said something.
I'm about to just be like, I could really sing, but, I'm not
we
trying
just
to bring
said
it
Beyonce,
out on the spot.
Right? No, but this is why. So, everyone, when you start a business or when you start a brand or anything, people are like, but what's your brand statement? What's your this? What's your that? And mine has always been, I'm a compassionate provocateur holding the torch for others as I guide them on their own journey. For exactly that reason, because I chose to step into my light a long time ago, and I'm not holding a literal torch, but just me, like, go back to your first question, showing up in my most authentic self, like modeling that behavior, being a permission slip for other people shines a light. And the people that are ready to embody that or be close to it or live up to their own, whatever their definition of excellence is, it doesn't have to be mine. Live up to their own.
In fact, it doesn't. It
shouldn't be, right?
That's right.
It shouldn't be. Like, do you, boo-boo. You can be inspired by, but it should be different inherently. But me doing that, me showing up in the way that I am every day should be a light on a path for other people to walk. It's like, yeah, I walk this path. You're going to walk it different. You might do cartwheels down the path. You might skip. You might two-step. I don't know. Figure it out. But that's the point, right? And that's why I said my brand is not going to be everyone's brand because not everybody's going to be ready to walk that path. And that's okay. But don't come near me.
Don't come test my spirit.
Also that. Give me 50 feet.
I really like what you said. And I subscribe to the belief that, we all have spirits inside of us that are doing a thing. And a lot of times our human bodies are trying to conceal and hide what the spirit really feels and what the spirit is really dealing with.
Say that.
And to your point on when you are operating in a power that is more than you, in my world, that's the higher power of God. But when you're operating in that, you come into those instances where where the vibes feel like my pastor this past Sunday was talking about, the vibes just be kind of off. Like, that's not just like a fake thing.
I love it. Yeah.
Like, that's a real thing that's happening. That's a real exchange that you're having.
Energetic frequencies are real between spirits.
1,000%.
Don't play with me.
Don't play with us. So you've had an incredible, so many people talk about, obviously, everything that's happened since the beginning of 2020, the pandemic, all the things. I mean, we've all gone through
a lot of shit.
A lot of things. And I know you personally, so I know even more about many of the things that you've gone through, both good and beautiful and in between over the last, call it 2 years. We literally have 8 weeks left in 2021. Y'all, I'm tripping.
That's crazy.
That less
what
than
are we doing
8,
for New Year's? Why are we having this conversation on the podcast? We'll talk about this after.
So my question for you is, I know that you do your season wrap-ups and you kind of talk about the season and where you're at in your life and how you got where you're at. Just give us a snapshot into, 2 questions. One, I love when we have the kind of frame things as what was the grow and what was the glow. So give us a snapshot ending this season, coming off of what is so many things. What's one way that you grew and what's one way that you continue to shine and glow in all that you are?
Yeah. So I'll preface it with, in the middle of September, and people that follow me on social media or are in my monthly subscription teaching community, so they see me like 3 times a month.
Wait, how do you join that?
So by the time this comes out, there will be a link on my website. It's called The Academy. It's a subscription. You can sign up as inexpensive as $5. The most expensive level is $70, but you're getting a lot of education, 3 live calls a month. It's a lot. It's a lot of education. People think I'm out here playing. Like, no, I'm literally educating people all the time.
No, we ain't out here playing. And
not you. Some people really think
you can
that,
sign
like,
up. You will sign up.
No, a lot of people think that you're just like on the internet, on Instagram, like teaching and like talking. No, boo-boo, you clearly haven't been paying attention.
I just want you guys to know also this voice that Weeze is doing right now. I fully adopted this voice and now take it in to all of my calls, especially when white people press me. And it's really, really,
I love
it's not concerning at all. It's absolutely amazing. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, is that really what you're talking about? Like, no.
It's so good, right? And people are like, I don't know what to do. People have noticed, like, I haven't posted a lot on Instagram. Like, normally I'm out there posting and I'm going live and I'm like doing a lot of energetic expenditure. And the only other time that I have stopped or paused is when my puppy Knox died suddenly. And I kind of like had to tell everybody, like, I need some time off. I'm grieving his sudden death. Like, gotta go. Bye. I'll be back. But middle of September, I paused and I was like, oh shit. I haven't processed anything that has happened to me, both personally, professionally, or as a collective, as a human collective, since we got shut down like March 13th of 2020. I didn't have the time or the space to process it. And when I say I did not have the time or the space, again, people that have been following me a long time, and I don't wear this as a badge of honor. This is not how you all should be living your life. But sometimes in the midst of crisis, those that have skill sets have to step up. After George Floyd was heinously murdered, God rest his soul, my skill set was necessary, both from the organizing and teaching people how to protest safely and do all those things, as well as holding healing circles and grief circles for melanated and specifically Black folks. So there were periods, and also for people who don't know, I have worked in, call it reimagining police reform, because you can't actually reform the police, so you have to reimagine public safety. But I worked in reimagining public safety. So obviously there were calls to action for that. And I mean, there was a 3-day span where I slept for a total of 7 hours over 3 days. At the time I was living with roommates because I was going to move out, but then a pandemic. So we were all locked in together, and they'd be like, you haven't left your room in 24 hours, which means you haven't, and this is like TMI, but like you haven't had to pee, which means you aren't drinking water. Like, this is not okay. And again, not a badge of honor. I'm not saying, a lot of people will say that on some like, oh, look at me, like I'm really with the shit. No. Like,
no, it's not about that.
It was not about that.
I actually hate that narrative so much. 100%. I really cannot stand it.
And that's why I'm trying to be very clear. This is not why I'm sharing this. I'm sharing this to say I also am very much like the type that it's like the collective needs a thing for the collective's liberation in this moment, and I can give it, let me give it, and then I will resource myself. What I didn't expect was that we'd be in it for so long. You know, I had people close to me or close to my family that passed or were negatively impacted in some sort of way due to COVID. I had a relationship end in all of the messiness, you know, about all that, and all the messiness. But you know what? It gave space for a new level of healing so that I could meet my forever bae, who I now live with.
Ben.
Yes. He's going to be like, oh my God, like you've said my name 1,000 times in this episode. Anyways, whatever. Yes, because he does listen to my episodes, my podcast. Anyways, but you know, there was a lot that happened personally, again, professionally, all the things. So I hadn't processed any of it. I had like a whole health thing, which you know about, which I mentioned very briefly on the last wrap up. I literally hadn't stopped in over a year to truly process feelings, experiences, hurt, pain, whatever it was, loss. And I wasn't taking my own advice. I wasn't doing the things that I teach other people to do. And God bless Bay for just creating all the space for me to be able to like do what I needed to and like support me in that. But that was, I think that's a really important thing for me to name, because a lot of people just kept like seeing me on the internet all the time and being like, oh my God, you're so resilient. You're so strong. You're so this, you're so that. And I said shout out Corey Evan Leaks. He has a podcast called Existential Podcast. And we did an episode on like, I don't want to have to be resilient anymore. Right? I don't want to have to be strong anymore. Those are not like, give me softness, give me grace, give me, you know, furry blankets and like, gentle
that
kisses.
We would be invited to, I have to press on that point, because like we're supposed to be happy that we've been given agency,
right,
or a platform to fight back,
right.
And it's like,
bitch, why am I fighting to begin with?
Like, come on, like,
right.
And we're supposed to feel good about the fact that we can do this work.
Right. They hear you now. Really? Because I've been screaming this shit for 13 years and y'all only just started paying me.
They hear us now. Like, we never should have had to have been heard. We should have always been heard.
That part.
Like, miss me with all of that.
All of it. Okay, no, but so I say all of that because one of the things, like, so my growth edge, right? My growth edge for me was really pausing and realizing, and so this is like super deep. People are gonna be like, oh shit. Because I really like practice what I tell people. Yeah, we're gonna get real deep. I really like practice what I tell people. What I realized in this is that my growth edge is really around belonging. And a lot of my drive for the collective is because in my racial ambiguity, in the way that I grew up, I didn't always have a space to belong. And the way that I belonged, sometimes not by choice, was by being responsible for everybody else, by taking care of everybody else, by prioritizing everybody else. And what I realized after all the healing and decolonial work and blah, 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 and nearly 36 years of life is that that was still a core childhood wound that was really present in the way that I was doing everything. Right? So it's like beyond just, strength and resilience and like, we got to do this thing. It's also this underlying narrative of like, in order to belong in the community, you have to consistently prioritize the community because you're not as important as the whole. And you're only important if you prioritize the whole. And so that was a really big growth edge for me. That kind of like hit me about a month ago. And so I was like, I have some work to do. I don't know why everything is a song. This is how you know I'm starting to lose my shit, because everything is a song. I have another podcast with Trudy LeBron called That's Not How That Works. Shout out Trudy.
Why are you starting to lose your shit, Weeze?
No, like I'm just like so tired. Like I'm like that's why.
To the point, I mean, of what you're speaking about.
Oh,
like
no, why I'm so tired is has nothing to do with work. God love my boyfriend. He just moved in.
It's because Dick and Disney are on the same playing field.
Listen,
that's all we have to say.
It's because we live together now and I have both at home. No, I'm just kidding. No, Bay moved in. God love him. But has anyone ever tried to take two homes and make it one? Just asking.
With Dick and Disney? Like that's, I'm sorry.
I hate you. It is funny though, and this is going to carry over to like all personal jokes now. But no, really, it's like I've been working my whole regular day, and then it's like, oh, we also have to figure out how to turn like this closet into a closet for two. So that's
two like swagtastic people that have a lot of things.
It's a problem.
And Benny's a baller. I feel like ballers, they be having shoes. They be having clothes.
There
are
basketballs in the bottom of my side of the closet right now. I wish people could see my face. But I love him and it's fine and that's his thing. but no, that's actually why I'm tired. It's because I'm like, I have been organizing and reorganizing and putting things in boxes and like.
You've literally been organizing and organizing.
Correct. For like, oh, I see what you did there. Oh, that was good. That was good. This is why we're friends. But no, really, that's why I'm tired. Because I'm like, every day, like after work, I'm like, okay, I can do like 2 hours. But then also like, I started training again. And anyone that's ever boxed knows that shit will take it out of you.
Yeah, and also, like, isn't there a pretty special day? Like, I feel like kind of coming up.
Oh, my birthday, yes. Well, though, that's the deadline is I'm like, we have to get the house ready.
Because I'm trying to come over.
For my birthday. I know, every time you're like, can we have a game night? I'm like, no, the house is a disaster because there's just shit everywhere. But it'll be done by my birthday.
So Weeze does amazing game nights. If you haven't been invited, that's because she ain't really messing with you like that. But I'm just kidding. No, for real.
No, for real. I don't really let people in my house.
experience. And the best part about it is when we talk in the different voices. Like, and also the twerking videos and all of that is really on point.
There's definitely breaking out into song and all sorts of things. Anyways, back to the question. Because we could take all the left turns. So that's been my growth. Stepped away from the outside world instead of expending energy, spending time with myself and sitting with myself and realizing like that was still a wound that I had to look at. Thankfully I'm resourced enough and have the capacity and the toolkit to be able to like look at it, heal it, pivot, and hold myself accountable because I've been doing this work for so long. I want to preface it as not that easy or that quick if you're new to this, if you're just starting this kind of work. And so, yeah, I took a step back from like all of the external kind of things. I was like, because energetic frequency and spiritual exchange is very fucking real. And every time I show up on the internet, I give a little bit of my spirit and my energy and my frequency out to the world. And I get back a lot of shit, including death threats. So I was like, let me take a step back. But I'll be back, y'all, very soon. But so that was my growth. And then what was the other question? My glow?
Your glow.
Honestly, my baby. Oh. I know. I'm so cheesy and corny.
It's like honestly so cheesy and it's like low key disgusting AF, but it's the most beautiful thing. Here's why. I just want to speak to this for a second because
okay, go.
I know we talk about we talk about relationships and dating a lot, and we're talking about wanting to do some more content around that.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I really appreciate not just the authenticity of your relationship, but really what it is for me. What it is for me is the freeness for me. And what I mean by that is it's not the freeness to just be who you are individually. It's the freeness to be who you also are as a unit. And what I mean by that is the way that you two move in the world together and the experiences that I spend time with you guys all the time. It's like as individuals, you're free. And as a unit, you're also free. What I mean by that is a lot of people come into a relationship and they find ways to change themselves and attach themselves to the other person in some form of bondage that they feel like is more important than the freedom they already had because they didn't even like the freedom that they had and they didn't even know themselves because they didn't heal from their trauma and they didn't heal from the trauma because they didn't want to hold themselves up to a mirror.
Yeah.
Or hold a mirror up to themselves. And it's almost like they move from a space of like really being actually in a lot of ways things that they need to work on, but establishing someone that they are and good in that. And then they come into a relationship and it's like the unit becomes super toxic.
Yeah.
Or like starts alienating folks or starts moving other people to the side because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, there's so many instances. I'm sure so many people can attest to that.
Yeah.
But when you and Benny come together, there's still a freedom to your relationship as one unit.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Thank you.
And it's so amazing.
Yeah. I think the important thing too is like, and we've said this, I mean, not publicly because we haven't done public interviews, but like to friends and family and like people who say that, they're like, oh my God, y'all are so cute and you're so this and you're so that. And we're like, yeah, but to be clear, like we also are two imperfect humans who are trying to figure it out together every single day. And the only thing that we have that a lot of other relationships that maybe don't look like ours don't have, that was 2 double negatives, but y'all know what I mean, is, and I started out the relationship, I said, I need 3 things from you. I need radical honesty. I need transparency. And when I say radical honesty, I mean, you better say the thing, even if you think it's going to hurt my feelings, because I'm a grown up and we'll deal with it. Right.
Yeah.
Radical honesty, transparency, and a commitment to always being the best version of you and for the best version of our relationship. We're both committed to our own healing and our own growth individually, which means that when we come together, we have disagreements.
Of course you do.
You know what I mean? Like, we're human. He gets on my nerves when he leaves the fridge open over and over and over again. And I'm like, I know you can hear that beeping.
He got all these basketballs.
He got all these basketballs in the house. No. No, but like, I'm like, I know you can hear the fridge. I can hear the fridge and I didn't open it. I'll be in the bed and I'll be like, Benny, you don't hear that fridge. Oh, my bad. Like, close the fridge, Benny. You know, like, it's like the little things. No, there's like real things too. But
Right.
we're not perfect by any means, right? We have messy moments, we have imperfect moments. But the thing that I love so much about this relationship that's unlike any relationship I've ever been in is that there's a commitment to creating the space for each other to be, to your point. So it's like such a beautiful like affirmation of this and reflection, like to be your full authentic, unapologetic self, all the quirks and the weirdness and the imperfections and the whatever you might have hid from the rest of the world, like be that version of you. Like, I'm going to love you and embrace you, good, bad, ugly, weird, strange, like irksome, whatever. I'm going to create the space for that. He creates the space for that for me. And then from there, it's like, cool. And we're also equal-footed partners in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then making sure that we're also practicing like our toolkit of like making sure the other person is seen and heard, like using emotional safe words and like all of those things, so that even when we do fuck up, like your girl's not perfect. Let me get real fucking upset or actually triggered by something. And I will literally be like, I'm so triggered right now, and walk away from him. Because it's like, we've gotten to a point where I can say that and he knows, he's like, okay, this response is actually not really about me. It's about this thing that I know about her. So like, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let her do her thing. I'll be like, time out, flag on the play. Like, I'm fucking triggered. I got to go. And then like to be able to come back and for me to be like, yo, I'm really sorry that I like said that thing or reacted in that way before I could communicate that I was triggered, or, you know, whatever. Or like he'll do a thing or say a thing and then come back after we're both like, this has gotten, you know, this is not an effective conversation or productive conversation anymore. Cool.
Right.
Like, let's come back to the table. And it's like, let me be accountable. Let me own my shit. And then like, how do we move forward? Like, what does progress look like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what does moving forward look like where we both feel, again, seen, heard, valued, and whole, right? Where there's space for both of us. I haven't had that in any other relationship. Frankly, part of it was because I ignored severe red flags. You want to talk about red flags? I ignored a hell of a lot of red flags, or I made excuses for those red flags.
Right.
Or I used the like couple green flags. So that was more about me than the person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this can be episode 1 of our YouTube show, because I'm not going to dive into it here because this is a whole thing to unpack. I also know about myself that I thought that if I created enough space and I was gracious enough, that I could be the place where healing would happen, because I have the skill set.
I can't do it. I gotta get off the podcast.
I knew you were
I gotta go.
We're gonna do it. It's gonna be our YouTube.
Go, bruh.
And I realized, and I thought that was my responsibility because of the way the world works. I know I'm hitting your whole soul right now. I'm sorry. I love you. We could talk about it when we get off.
My whole soul.
But then I very quickly realized that, you know, what the younger me didn't know was that other people's healing isn't your responsibility. You can create safety, you can create sovereignty, you can create a space where sovereignty can be, held, but you can't actually be the thing that heals a person.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be the girlfriend and the therapist, the girlfriend and the healer. You can't. It can't happen.
1000%.
And so I stayed in a lot of things, or allowed for a lot of things, or picked certain men even past the red flags, because I was like, well, this can happen here, like, or the narrative of, no, it's like, I can deal with it, you know.
I can deal with it,
right?
And you know, the manifestations of how that shows up, in one way or the other, are very similar.
Yeah. So
it can take time to identify the type of situation that you're dealing with.
Yep, 100%.
I love that glow, though.
Yeah. So yeah. And also, as soon as I started, like when we were like dating, people used to be like, we're like, I just show up on the internet and like on an IG live and people are like, oh my God, you're glowing. And I'm like, I've done nothing different. I was like, oh wait, I'm in a healthy, healed, safe relationship where my humanity, autonomy, voice, and all of the things that make me lovable and annoying as fuck are honored and held. I'm strange as shit.
You know what? Somebody at church on Sunday said, oh my gosh, Madison, you are glowing. Like, you look amazing. And I was like,
I wonder, is it the whiskey? Inside joke, y'all. So sorry. Okay, maybe that's where we end it. Unless there's anything else that you have to ask me.
Great question. Well, first of all, interviewing you is amazing, and hearing your perspectives on all the things is amazing, and turning the lens onto the lens. I have a lot of anecdotes today.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing I want to leave with.
Yes.
We've got, like I said, so wild that we literally have 8 weeks left. Why does 8 weeks sound so much shorter than 2 months? It's like,
it really does.
But it really does.
It does.
Like,
yeah.
If that's why, ladies, if you're trying to get somebody to do, like, trying to get your man to do something, don't say months, say weeks.
Weeks. 100%.
Because weeks is like, oh my gosh,
oh shit, I gotta
weeks.
really do this. I'm gonna start doing that with Benny. Babe, we have 3 weeks. We have 4 weeks to do this.
And they're like, oh, dang, like, that's quick. But then when you say too much.
Yeah.
2 months. 2 months is like 3 years.
You know what? We have 21 days to do this.
21 days.
There's 30 days to do this. 60. They're going to be like, oh, God.
We have to do it now.
5,025. Sorry, okay. I was going to get real renty on us.
I saw something on Instagram the other day, too. I do not spend hella time on Instagram. And by the way, just want to put this out there, like, you can curate your Instagram, meaning you can decide who you want to follow and what information you want to absorb. And if you feel like it's hella toxic and real trashy and real nasty, go ahead and hit that unfollow.
I know people IRL that I won't follow on the internet because I don't like what they post.
I might know who some of those people are, but
you do.
I saw something that said, look, time is a frame of reference, and you can use time as a frame of reference for a positive or negative, and how you use time to frame something is on you. But yo, we got 8 weeks left in the year, and you might have fallen off on something that you want to pick up. Pick it up today.
Pick it up,
so,
pick it up.
Do you have anything that you're like, not necessarily falling off, but you're like, you know, I'm going to continue an acute focus on this until 2022?
Yeah, so I will say this. I actually don't believe in resolutions and or like any sort of like time limitations. I believe in continuum and flow. So I am consistently and always picking things back up, if you will. I also
you better come with it.
Right? I also very intentionally put things back down sometimes. Okay?
Some of y'all need to put some things
down. But what I am picking back up is body movement and creating space for body movement, and not just the idea, like not just boxing, not just.
So you're trying to go to this heels class, then?
Lifting. Yeah, I was just gonna say. So I used to dance all the time. Little known fact, I've been on several dance teams since I was a child up until 2 years ago.
Weeze was also on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my God, this is how rumors start. However, I would fucking die. Put me on Dancing with the Stars. Oh my God. Okay, anyways. No, so dance. Again, Bae is the best and got me back into, like, we do yoga every morning. Well, I try to when I can, but like we do yoga every morning together. We do restorative yoga at night. So just you know, I'm phenomenally blessed and privileged to have a body that moves in all of the ways that I want it to move and desire it to move. And I recognize that privilege. It is an immense amount of privilege. And I don't always thank my body enough for that. And I also don't celebrate and honor what it needs. And sometimes I push it too far, or I don't give it literally like movement or air or swimming or water or whatever it might really be craving.
The essential elements.
Exactly. I'm thinking air. I have a visual airbender going on in my brain right now. But
I was like, you just solicited every superpower.
Correct, Captain
that
Planet.
you have.
True. But yeah, so I don't know. I haven't been doing that again because I've been prioritizing a lot of other things outside of myself. So that is what I'm picking back up. Body movement in whatever way my body needs it to be. So I ask my body every morning, what do you need? And then I give it to it.
I love that. I practiced yoga for many, many years and taught for many years. And it was a really transformative time in my life. I will come over and do a yoga class for you.
Oh my God, I will die.
We can do like a whole like.
Can hear me. He should do that for his birthday too. That would be awesome.
Amazing.
He can't hear you.
A whole like soul flow. I have a whole playlist of R&B that just will.
I have so many ideas right now. Oh my God, my brain just went pew, 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 and it has
Pew,
nothing to
pew,
do with
pew,
him. It
pew,
has to do with
pew,
all the
pew.
things that I want to do for the collective in Oakland. Okay, great. I don't know why I didn't think about this before. It's because I'm a manifesting generator. Anyways, that's my human design, in case anyone wanted to know.
Manifesting generator.
I'm a manifesting generator.
I heard a term the other day that I am fully subscribing to it and using to identify myself, and that's called sanctified savagery. So just so you know, that's Madison
Mind
in
blown.
2 words.
Love it. Love it. Maddie, thank you so much for coming on and doing this, especially so last minute.
Of course.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I wasn't gonna do this.
Right? Reciprocal relationship.
Facts.
That's it.
I wasn't gonna do this. I was tired. And then I was like, you know what? I do need to give this to the people. This is something I wanted to do. I desired to do it in my spirit and my soul. And so here it is. So to wrap up, just as a reminder, please go rate, review, and subscribe. Tell all of your friends about my podcast. Also, I probably should have said this earlier. This season was full of technical and sound difficulties because we're still in a pandemic and people did the best that they could. So if you leave a review, which somebody already has, but if you leave a review or you message me about a noise that you heard in the podcast or an animal, honestly, it's still a fucking pandemic. Like, you think people are just out here in these streets? Like, we're doing the best we can giving you free content. Like, let's have a little bit of a reframe. Like, y'all, we give people so much grace for their fuckery.
Oh.
And then they message about, like, come on. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to do it.
Anyways,
I'm cognizant.
Crying right now.
We are cognizant of all the extra fucking sounds.
Yo, I want to know how their life is set up with that kind of time, my G.
Me too. But if you have anything to say other than that, please rate, review, subscribe, share it. This is how people know that this is a thing. It is a labor of love. I do not get paid to do this. Everyone that comes on here is choosing to share their time, their energy, their spirit, their particular knowledge and experiences with y'all as well. And I would like to use my platform to lift all of them up. Anyone that's ever come on my show, because they're all doing amazing things also. And join the Academy. It is like a Patreon, except I control it fully. There's something to be said for having full autonomy. Yeah, listen, if I had an extra 100 grand, I would completely design my own app. But
I'm just going to say that. We're just going to run that back one more time. So if you're interested in investing.
Yeah, because I have an entire platform idea specifically for content creators to be able to create their own courses and their own content and sell it, and subscription based, whatever they want to do, being able to be completely free of there's a reason that people go, like, Patreon is cool, but then when Patreon says, hey, we're going to charge you 12%, oh, now we're going to charge you 15%, oh, now we're going to charge you 20% of however much you're bringing in. It's wild. It's extortion. Melanated folks are already suffering the pay wage gap. Marginalized folks are already suffering the pay wage gap. And also, unfortunately, the world doesn't think that we're valuable generally. So we're underpaid and undervalued. So to continue to extort us for us to be able to use platforms is absolutely fucking absurd. And I have a very, very specific idea for a way to create autonomy and sovereignty for content creators to be able to not only control their own content, because that's the other thing people don't realize. We don't control our own content. There's a reason we get shadow banned. Anyways, that's my soapbox. But the point is, I don't have the money for an app. If you are an app developer or an app development team and you would like to build it for me for like $100, cool, let me know. If
ain't nobody doing it for $100.
Listen, I'm just saying, if you would like to donate it to the movement, I'll get you on the back end when people start paying for it. I promise I'm good for it. Or if you'd like to, invest, holler at me. I got a lot of great ideas. I just don't have the money for it, okay? I'm talking to you, all of you tech people in the Bay who have hella money for no reason.
Ooh.
Okay, anyways, my point is, please join us in the community.
Closing it with not to be worn as a badge of honor, but go ahead and still sell a couple of them stocks. And holla at you.
But that being said, I've left Patreon for Podia. I'm leaving Podia because I have more control over everything on Teachable, and I can now run my own digital community without having to have Facebook, which is huge. And everybody that joins me, even as low as the I don't like that languaging. Low. That has a negative tone. Even as accessible as the $5 level has full access to a community of folks who are truly committed to anti-racism, anti-oppression, equity, their own healing, their own decolonization or unsettling, depending on their social identity. Everybody's super with the shit. There's amazing networking and amazing relationships that are happening in this community. And that's really where I want to be fostering my time and energy. And I can only do that if you subscribe. Even at the $5 level, it has an invaluable impact.
I will be there at the $70 level. Just to
I'm just saying.
Put it out there.
But yeah, all of that being said, thank you so much for listening to this whole season. Thank you for listening to my ranting and ravings and my opinions on the world and the amazing guests that I brought on. Maddie, thank you for being here. I appreciate you ever so much.
Anytime.
And I will see y'all for not season 4, but the next iteration with episode 40-something. That's what we're calling it.
French, and we won't even know.
Yeah, somebody will know. I have French listeners.
You're right. I won't know.
Yeah. Do you know I'm number like 82 in Costa Rica? So random. Like podcasts generally.
So random.
Yeah.
So let's go to Costa Rica.
I mean, listen, Costa Rica, thank you for your support. I actually am also like top 40, I think, in France. Canada, huge listening.
Do you ever do any episodes in French?
No, but I should.
You totally should.
Great idea. If you are in the community, you could have this conversation with me. Okay, that's it. That's all I got. Toodles.
Toodles.
All right, y'all. That's all I got. But don't forget your action items. 1, join me on Podia, where you can get access to tons of BTS content, including a very special Weeze interview with all of our guests. 2, rate, review, especially a written review, subscribe, like, and share this podcast with all of your peoples. 3, if you aren't already, go peep me on IG, follow me there, and, most importantly, keep coming back. All right, until next time, toodles!